Hello you all, welcome to Eurasia Language School. Today with you I am going to discuss this reading module. So let's start. Many of you will benefit from this, many of you may won't, but it is left to you how you are going to see this. So let's start with this reading module. In this presentation I am going to discuss with you some reading tips and tricks which will help you in solving your IELTS modules much efficiently. Always keep in mind, this is very important, please always keep in mind that the tips and tricks which are being taught for various modules are not 100% fail safe, but are made with years of teaching experience and which have been proven accurate most of the times. Most of you know all the format of IELTS reading module. The IELTS reading test requires you to answer 40 questions in 60 minutes, so you must be fully prepared for it before you book your exams. Let's proceed. There are many different sections in IELTS reading module, so I'm going to discuss with you various sections, various types of questions. So let's start with that. The first question, the first type of questions which are like faced by many students and they feel it is very difficult, that is true, false and not given. This is a sample question for you all, how you are going to see in your question papers. They say do the following statements agree with the information given in the text. In the boxes 1 to 8 on your answer sheet, write true, false and not given. So this is how you are going to get it. So let's proceed. What is true? Which questions are going to be true? Now with years of experience, with as in me or my other colleagues, we have noticed that if the text agrees with or confirm the information in the statement, the answer is true. For the answer, please keep this in mind, for the answer to be true, the question or the text which is there, that is to be the information in the text should be 100%. That is, no bits and parts are acceptable here. The answer is given in bits and parts. Some part is given, some part is not given. That is not acceptable. For the answer to be true, it has to be 100% true. It has, the information should be 100% there. One trick here. Generally the questions that are quite lengthy or long than the others falls in the true category. Now you may contradict my statement. How is it possible? Why it cannot be false, why it cannot be not given. But trust me, whenever you are stuck in some parts where you can't find the answer, just try this trick, and if you fail, please write in the comments. When you see that the 100% of the information is given in the paragraph which is the question is demanding, that is true. Now coming to your false. If you see in the question the use of extreme words. Now what are the extreme words? Extreme words as in all, never, no, any, every. These are some of the exceptional words. For example, all cities are being cleaned up. This is very uncommon. They cannot write all cities are being cleaned up. They cannot write every city is being cleaned up. No, that is not the case. In the text there has to be a mention of something. Like let's take an example, where the institute is situated. The Mohali city is being cleaned up. They have to mention a city name. They cannot say all of the northern states in India are being cleaned up. So that contradicts the pattern there. So in that case, if the text, in that case the answer falls in the false category. If the text contradicts or is the opposite to the information in the statement, the answer is false. That is acceptable to all. So if the text is not matching, if the question is asking all the apples are in red color, and in the text they say some of the apples were in red, some of the apples were in pink, some of the apples were in yellow, then that contradicts, because in the question they are particularly demanding on the one fact, that is the apple was in red color, which is not, because in the question, in the text there were different colors given. So that falls into the false category. It is strongly suggested the answer to these types of questions are false. Let's move on to next. That is called not given. That is a dilemma of many students here. What is not given? We have the question which is there in front of us. We could see some of the words are there in the text which are in the question. Then how come it is not given? What is the purpose of giving not given? So here, when you are looking for comparison in the question, for example, as compared to, more than, less than, etc. This is a very rare chance when they put these such kinds of text in the text column. So in the text column there has to be a proper comparison between, suppose we are taking the same question here, the Mohali is being cleaned up, city Mohali is being cleaned up, or city Chandigarh is being cleaned up. Okay, so that is how, if they are comparing, Chandigarh is more cleaner than Mohali. No, that is not correct. How can you say Chandigarh is being cleaned up and Mohali is not cleaned up? When comparing is there, so if it has to fall in the true and false category, for that comparison need to be a proper stat should have been given to prove the fact. For example, a proper fact as in Chandigarh has been cleaned up by 80% or Mohali has been cleaned up only 60%. A stat is there. In that case, if they say Chandigarh is, as compared to Chandigarh, Mohali is less clean, so that is proving correct because the stats were given earlier in the text. Now coming to your MCQs, that is called multiple choice questions. On both the academic and general IELTS reading papers, you are likely to be asked multiple choice question. That is true. Your job is to simply choose the correct answers from a list of possible choices. There are 3 different types of MCQ questions. You will either have to choose one answer out of 4 options, 2 answers out of 5 options, or 3 answers out of 6 options. The sample is in the next slide. This is how your MCQs are going to be. Question will be there. There will be a one statement. The 4 options will be given. You have to select either one, or you have to select either 2, or whatever the question is demanding it from. Do not read the text before reading the question, because in that case you are reading blind. Now what is reading blind means? Reading blind means, suppose you are going to, in this IELTS reading thing, you are not reading a magazine. You are not reading a magazine just to entertain yourself. In this case you have to you have been assessed. What have you read? Have you understood or that not? So in that case you have to read the questions first, because if you read the questions, you underline your keywords. Those keywords are going to stay at the back of your mind, and when you're going to read your text, in that case suddenly that keyword will strike you and you will see, yes, that is my question what I am looking the answer for. Again I repeat, do not leave your answers blank. Never ever do that. Many children I have seen here where I'm teaching, that they, in the pressure due to lack of time, they leave the answers blank. Please do not do that. Even if you have an option of selecting A, B, C, D, just put A, just put B everywhere, because that gives you a chance of being correct. Also, if you don't know anything about the topic, don't panic, because it's a reading test, not a test of your knowledge. Think about not only the answers which are correct. 4 answers given, 4 answers. Do not only focus on the answer which is correct. Also try to look at the options which are not correct and try to find out why they are not correct. This may help you in deciding what your answer should be. Now coming to blanks summary completion. In the summary completion question type, you will be given a summary of information from the text, and there will be some gaps in that summary. You will be either asked to give a list of words to fill the gaps with, or asked to find the answers in the reading text. Your job is to insert some of the words from the list into the gaps, or if asked, to fill the gaps with words from the text. Sample question is right here. This is how you're going to get your blanks or summary. There will be a text, a summary is going on, and there are some blanks left. Like for example, question number 24, 25 and 26, the blanks have been given, and to fill that there should be given a box below where the options will be given to you, which one to put where. That is how you have to attempt these types of questions. So in order to do that, many students find these types of questions a bit difficult. Presence of mind is very necessary here, and also the presence of complex words in a statement. Now you may already know what are complex words. Complex words are those which are not simple, which are not common to all. So in that case, the word complex word, if the complex words come in your in front of you, you get mumble jumble. So that is how I'm going to tell you what to use and what not to use. And the basic trick is here is, Look for the articles given just before the blank. For example, a and the sum. These are the articles. So just before the blank, you see a is given, you see the is given. There are high chances the same text, the same type of text is given in the same format is given in the text as well. So that is how you're going to check ki yes, that is there. So look for the articles given just before the blank. It is of high possibility that such words will be given exact in the paragraph. Look for synonyms and paraphrases in the text rather than the word that directly match. Now coming to that, there may be words which are going to fit and the options given which are not matching. In that case, you need to keep your vocabulary at a high standard. At a high standard, I don't want you to just be into the vocabulary, but yes, a good amount of good level of vocabulary is very much appreciated, because that it helps you to understand what is given, what type of answer should it be. So that helps. So to my all students here, I teach them, I tell them that having a strong vocabulary is your strong suit. That is going to help you in each and every module. Let it be reading, let it be writing, let it be listening, let it be your speaking. So that is a very strong suit if you are having a strong vocabulary. Now coming to the next topic, that is writer name is given to match with the statement. That is like, so many writers are there in the paragraph. Which writer has written which statement? Which writer is saying what? So in order to not to confuse in that, let's try to follow a pattern here. How we are going to follow the pattern here? First and foremost, find that writer name in the paragraph. Underline his or her name given in the paragraph article. Just read, just see what the writer is, and start underlining the names. Now you know where the writer name have come at least. Second, don't go by the serial order of the questions to find the answers. So it is not necessary that your paragraph, your writers will come in serial order. So just go by whichever you find first. Suppose you find Shakespeare first. Let's try to find his statement which is matching. Just answer that. Many a times the writer's statement is given and enclosed in inverted commas. That is a very clear indication to say that yes, this is a statement. This because they have emphasized on it, they have highlighted that putting a statement in an inverted comma, that means they want to enlighten something. So that is pure and clear way of saying that it is a statement. Then you have to see what writer's name have come next to it. So that is how you are going to check that it matches the writer's statement or not. Now coming to the part where the headings are given, such as this, a list of headings, some 8 to 10 headings will be given to you, and a paragraph is given to you or an article is given to you. Now you have to decide for every paragraph there is a heading. You have to choose a heading, you have to choose a heading there. So how to do that? There are few tricks, few experiences I am going to share with you. Please pay attention to this. The questions are given in section 3 are usually the one which asks you to choose the correct heading for each section from the list of headings below. Look at the options given in the heading. If future tense or a subject with future is present, a high chance stands for the answer to be the last paragraph. Suppose, now coming to the same example there. Now if I say the Mohali in the year 2030 is going to be the cleanest of all, that is, they in the statement, in the question, they are asking about, in the question they are asking about the future tense. They are using the word future or enlightenment, foreseeing. Okay, that is how they are going to see the future tense. So in most of the paragraphs, it is very high chances that that paragraph will come at the last, because in the paragraph they first have to tell the story of it, the history of it, the present going of it, then comes the future part, what are they going to do next. So in that case, where the question is asking in the future tense, please refer to the last paragraph. If in any paragraph you see numbers and figures, for example 12 billion people, year 1982 to 1999, etc., look for the headings option with words like figures, stats, statistics, poll, tally, demography, amount, integral, etc., because these words in the question are indicating you that there is some stat, there is some figures given. Okay, so just look in the paragraph if there is some figures or stats given or not, because this is going to be the answer of that heading. If any paragraph you see the words like exemplar, for example, specimen, sample, exemplar, instance, the similar words will be present in the heading as well. Because if a heading is saying for example, this is an example of that. If similar word is present, and if you see the same word present in the paragraph or the text as well, please go with that heading, because it is going to fit there 100%. When the paragraph is reading about the machine, its process, its working, the heading might include the words like how it works, the process elaborated, the procedure shown, the operation, etc. Because in the heading, let's take one example. They say this machine is working with its 100% efficiency. The machine, the coffee maker is working at its 100% efficiency. So the similar context will be given in the paragraphs as well, showing you the process, how the coffee maker is making the coffee, how the coffee maker is making the coffee delicious. So that is how the indication is there that it is going to fit in that thing. When the paragraph reads more than one country or continents, it is very high chances that the heading will include the words such as globally, internationally, universal, worldwide, because these are the main synonyms of that. So it is going to be the same. So let's take an example. The World Cup is being held with the countries such as India, Australia, New Zealand, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Pakistan. So they cannot put so many countries' name in the heading. They will put just about globally, international World Cup. So that is how you're going to click in your mind that yes, this paragraph fits that heading. When the paragraph reads the words like research, experiment, exploration, survey, investigation, study, etc., the heading will also include a keywords related to the above words. That is very common thing, that study related paragraph, if it is there, then the paragraph which express the experimentation is going on, so the heading will also include the such word. And now coming to the general tip for you all. Please note that it is always preferable to underline the strong words in the question after reading them all. This will help you to retain that word and find answers quickly. Like I said earlier, it will just click if you are putting in the back of your mind. In many ways, IELTS reading is one of a vocabulary test than a reading test, because they are going to test your vocabulary if you know the alternative word for that word. So that is how they are going to check you. The reason is that you need a wide range of vocabulary to understand the passage of the text given to you. You must also have an awareness of synonyms and paraphrasing if you wish to identify the information required to answer the question correctly. About this paraphrasing, I am going to discuss with you in the next class. So I have made a detailed presentation on this paraphrasing thing, which is going to help you in your writing task 1 as well as writing task 2. This is how the scoring is been done. For academic and for GT. This scoring, how many answers have been correct. So in front of that you can see the band scores. I would say just aim for band 9. That nothing like that. That is the best thing you can do for yourself. Now coming to the most important important part of my lecture, that is called time management. This is I have been seeing this in many of my students. They just leave their sections blank because the time is gone and their reading power is slow. Why I am been telling you the tips and tricks? This is just because to come to this slide, that is time management. I have been trying to save your time so that you can focus more on the difficult parts. You may be outstanding in reading, that is very correct. You can say I am very good at reading, but if you don't have your control over the time period given in the exam, then it is a problem for you. It is a big problem for you, because leaving 2 or 3 blanks also just brings your band scores very down. The sections are divided in order of difficulties, with first one as the easiest and last one a bit difficult. I don't agree with that. They just say that because I personally have found many of my many of my texts, section 4 being the very easiest one for me. It depends person to person. So many a times section 2 is, I find it very difficult, but the general procedure, the general layout of IELTS reading is such a way that 4 sections are divided in the range of your difficulties, first one being the easiest and last one a bit difficult, but it all depends on you how you are going to see that. This is the general timings thing I would like to point out. Section 1 you should spend only 15 minutes, section 2 20 minutes, section 3 25 minutes. as your range of difficulty increases. This is how many minutes you're going to spend on the section. But ideally you should be spending less than that in order to keep a buffer. I would say if a reading module is of 60 minutes, I would ask you to keep a target of 50 to 52 minutes, because in that 8 minutes you're going to review your other blanks which you have left, or review other question which you have left it. So in that case, those 8 minutes comes in very handy. When you find a question and you don't know what that question is, and you can't find the answer also, you don't waste your time on that question. Please don't waste your time on that question, because that time is costing you more than what the answer is going to give you. The time is very valuable here, because even if you're going to leave one blank, it doesn't matter, because in wasting your time, suppose you wasted 5 minutes on that one blank, in those 5 minutes you could have done 3 more answers. Okay, so don't waste your answer, just leave it, just write to be reviewed later, okay, for your indication, or put any indication mark on that, to be reviewed later. So that is how you're going to manage your time. And last and foremost, you will not get extra time to transfer your answers to your answer sheet. Unlike you're listening, this is not like that. You won't get any time to transfer your answer to your answer sheets. So just keep marking your answer in your answer sheet simultaneously as you're going to read it. And that was all. Thank you so much.